and welcome everyone to this edition of Explorations, where we explore what it's like beyond being human. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Maureen Edwardson. Welcome, Maureen. It's such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I love connecting like this.
Well, we're glad to have you. Wonder if you could tell our audience a little bit about your story. Where you're from, what do you do? And then we'll get into, because you do that healing
Oh,
modality. We want to hear all about that. And
I am from Vancouver, Canada, where I am right now, in Greater Vancouver, in a little place right on the border with Washington State, right by the ocean, in a little place in Greater Vancouver called White Rock City by the Sea. And it's said to be the sunniest place in Canada, certainly the sunniest place in British Columbia. So here I sit in the sunny day. It's a beautiful day today. So what can I say? So I'm grateful to be here. I love being blessed with the work that I get to facilitate to support people in all walks of life, in all ways, in all different circumstances. So my work is called Inner Resonance Technologies, and it shifted names over the years. This is my 35th of doing this. Isn't that amazing? 35th year, and it's still cutting edge because it addresses and works in the superconscious, beyond the conscious, and the subconscious. And the superconscious is where we find more of who we are as human. Speaking of beyond being human, beyond being the default human is human, uh, which I say, let's redefine who we are. Let's remember and realign with the core of love, the core of truth, the core of us being spiritual beings, in breathing that infinite source energy and our portion of it, to have an experience in this realm, to really integrate all those worlds together and command reality in a whole nother level than what this third dimension has afforded most of us. In fact, we seem to be devolving, not evolving when you look around the world today. And yet, that is the biggest, noisiest, awareness. And the truth is, we are evolving and we are becoming more and more and more of who we truly are. And then from that place of remembering, we get to create more, and co-create. And my book that I released in 11/11/11 is called Your Magical Evolutionary Code Unleashed, the Science of Inner Resonance. So we studied the science of spirituality. We have a lot of information, and now most people seem to be dropping from their head into their heart to have that experience. And isn't that what they say, Tanys? The longest trip anyone will ever make is from their head to their heart. And
absolutely.
yeah, because when we say like point to yourself, if you're in an audience and the speaker says point to yourself, everybody does this, right? We point to our hearts. Here I am, and that is your I am presence. And I like to think of the center of the heart as our nodal address. That on the matrix of reality, our heart is that center point of our address in the matrix, in the multidimensional, multigalactic fields that we are breathing in and out of and are part of and one with all the time. So as you wake up and we clear all the sludge, clear all the program, take the red pill, get out of the matrix. Oh, I'm wearing red. That's cool. Yeah, taking the red pill. And then we get access to more. And that is, our full inheritance and our full presence in our galactic family. So it's very exciting what's happening, especially with disclosure, coming along in the United States government. It's quite phenomenal. The information now that has been there for a long, long time, it's now surfacing with greater credibility than ever before. We are, part of a grander community than what we suspect, just by looking out of our three-dimensional eyes and our and just having our five senses. And way beyond the sixth sense, I think that there are multidimensional sensors. And I think you probably would be much more qualified to speak of that than myself. And that's my sense of things. So yeah, we're more than what we have ever dreamed, Horatio. Isn't that what Shakespeare said? And we're now delightfully alive and exploring, where no man's gone before. And it's interesting because I had an interview many, many years ago with this woman in the evening time, right before I was going away for 3 full months to my beloved Ohana community in Kauai, my spiritual home that has been ancient Lemuria. And that was my first lifetime on the planet. So I just get more of a piece of myself there.
I'm sure that you've had other lifetimes, though, off the planet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've been discovering that actually.
Yes.
And I've understood for a long time that part of my heritage is Arcturian and definitely Syrian. And we used to gather in a circle at equinox and solstice in Kauai in a beautiful place called Larson's Overlook, and at sunrise, and greet the sun, as we did in Egypt, I guess, and many other places. And so then we'd have a circle, and Peggy, our matriarch, would say, "I'm Peggy from the Pleiades, and I bring." So when it came my turn, I said, "Well, I'm Maureen from Sirius, and I bring Sirius joy."
I love that.
So
They are
yes,
very joyful.
yeah. Oh, thank you. I
Yeah, they
was
are.
born that way, actually,
Yeah,
which is definitely a blessing. And it's really important, that we have a sense of humor, most particularly about ourselves, and that really helps life along, in my experience, in any case. So,
absolutely.
yes, and yet at one point years ago when I was doing talks, some people walked out because I was too funny.
Funny?
Yeah, I was too funny, and they thought that was like irreverent and disrespectful because spirituality is the serious business, don't you know? So times have changed, thank goodness.
My Pleiadian guides are definitely not serious.
No, they're not. Except that Metatron guy. I don't know. He
He's
seems
kind of serious.
he's a little serious. He's kicked me in the butt a few times. Say, hey, I know, you're here for, a reason. It's about time you got about your father's business or what you promised. It's okay if you don't, but I we're, keeping you to that promise anyway. And yeah, however, I've been hanging out in the background. I've been doing this work, as I say, for 35 years as my only source of income and sustainability, which is remarkable, actually, I think, because especially when people really don't get it, because it's so intangible, because IRT is a formula of questions that allow that other superconscious higher quantum self to say yes. And so then we then give it up at the end, once you've set the agreements for safety and appropriateness, and then, go for the ride on your magic carpet or however you want to describe that. Because truly, when you get to that point of going beyond your conscious mind, it's the most limited processor at 40 bits per second. Beyond the subconscious, which is 40 million bits per second, we get into the quantum consciousness, which is poof, that's right here, all of everything all at once, right? What is that, that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once? And that's really what we are. And that another word for that is ubiquitous. We're everything everywhere all at once. And that's what spirit is. It's ubiquitous. Cool word. I like words.
It is a
Yeah.
fun word.
Yeah.
It is.
And so we're learning how, our evolutionary codes to me means, teleportation, bilocation. People have regrown teeth and organs and different parts of themselves. Children, I haven't heard of any recently, but when I did talks many, many years ago, I would always say, yes, when children get a finger cut off or something happens like that, they automatically regrow it because they don't know they can't. And until about the age of 6 or 7, I don't know, maybe it's like 2 these days because the awareness is changing too.
It
However,
is. Yeah.
yeah, anyway, or maybe it's 10 because the awareness is changing on the other side, right? it's not like we're calling ourselves lizards or anything, but we all had that biological program that we can regrow anything that's needed. Stem cells are proof of that. And so then they have these external stem cells, but truly we have everything within. And that's why I call my work inner resonance technologies. I used to call it many years ago mind body magic. And that was the year that later in that year, Deepak Chopra came up with Ageless Body. No, not Ageless Body, Timeless Mind. That was his book that he published way before that. But he said body, the mind, and the magic, something like that. It was similar because we're all drawing, from the same source. And when there's an idea that's time and shifting our consciousness, then everybody kind of taps in. So everybody has their own sunbeam, their own perceptual strand, and that is a different point of view, and all those coming together with all our gifts. I kind of like to see that as each person has a golden strand, a golden thread, and when we come together and we weave everything together, then we can all dance on that beautiful woven golden
Magic
uh,
carpet.
yeah, magic carpet. Thank you. That's exactly what it is. It's really funny because I used to have in my head, oh yeah, okay, go on your magic carpet right now. And then a couple of people started saying, okay, I'm back from my magic carpet ride. And I went, really? Yeah. And I hadn't said it verbally, but again, we're more telepathic than what we realize. Yeah. I have fun with that sometimes. This is not something I usually talk about it, but it's fun to talk about it with you. I'm sure you've done cloud busting. It's an interactive universe. So you've done cloud busting?
I have not.
Oh, well, it's really cool. Especially on a summer day with those white puffy clouds, just to lie there. And have you seen those paintings that have another painting embedded in them? And so if you soft focus your eyes, you see the second painting appears?
Yes.
Yes, same principle. That's how we do it, right? And so, you just take a look at one little puffy cloud you choose, and you don't look at it directly, right? You just kind of, put it in your periphery, and you look at the blue sky, and you just double focus and see that cloud at the side of your vision, and just imagine it dissolving, and it does. Our intention, our focus, our choice commands reality. And so we know in quantum science that if there's somebody in a room with an experiment that's been done over and over again successfully, and there's a total skeptic in the room putting negative interference, and then it skews the experiment. It's so important to be our positive best self and come together and create that vision for something different than what the planet's been devolving with. And that is why we're here, to be our happiest, most loving selves. I was doing a program a couple of years ago called Be Michelangelo, and it was because Michelangelo was asked, gee, Mike, wow, what an incredible artist you are. Look at all these sculptures. They're phenomenal. But you know what? That David, absolutely unbelievable. I mean, that is so incredible. Like, how do you even do that? And he said, well, David was in the marble. He was in the block of marble already. So all I did was see him and keep that vision and ship away. My hands then automatically shipped away everything that was not David.
Mhm.
And so there he is, revealed in all his magnificence, inspiring the world. And you see, truly, who we are is already within us. So, what IRT allows us to do is dissolve everything that's not us. Like Rumi said, do not seek love, seek rather to remove the barriers to love. And then there we are. I am that I am.
I am
And
presence. Yes.
yeah, I am presence. Be still and know I am. So be present with the presence of our of our I am. Yeah, loving presence. And so,
Mhm.
what really astounded me when I did that program, I was connecting with people and asking them to share a bit of their bio, what they wanted to share, what they wanted to experience in the training beforehand, and they shared it with everybody. So it was save time when we came together because we only had just like 1 hour door to door, 1 hour start to finish. And believe it or not, I said nothing. There was no teaching in it, nothing, no information. We just went straight in to an experience with the group, and everybody was ready. When people showed up on the Zoom, it was in silence. And it's really wonderful practicing silence with other people because we automatically want to greet and speak and do all the things that we love to do and connect. However, just silence. And I took everybody through a simple protocol of the inner resonance technologies, IRT. And then they came back and I put them in to dyads and Zoom room breakout rooms. And they would have a prepared, just a script, just a script of IRT, one version, and they would read it to each other. They wouldn't need any kind of background, just read this, to each other. So then they would have a personal interaction with receiving particular rather than a general experience. And then they would come back and still everybody's quiet. And then I would put on John Lennon's Imagine. Then we would ripple all of that peaceful presence into the whole planet and beyond.
And we certainly need it on the planet.
Yes, absolutely. And what I was going to say, in that interview, if you will, or, pre-conversation, one of the questions I asked was, what are your superpowers that you want to develop and evolve? Well, actually, quite honestly, I was shocked because they all said love, patience, tolerance, kindness as superpowers. And I wasn't thinking of it in that way because to me, that's just the default. I mean, that's who we are as spiritual beings. To me, that's a given. That's not a superpower. Yes, it's all superpower. And what I was thinking was our evolutionary superpowers, like regrowing organs, like walking on water or bending spoons. And James Twyman years ago was my first teacher of telekinesis and spoon bending. And he did so that we would know and own the power that we have to shapeshift our environment, like busting clouds and doing those sorts of things to the end result of peace. He is known as the peace troubadour. I mean, he's still around, but he used to do a lot of music crossing borders for peace in the world. And he had the concept, yes, as we come together collectively and tune up our abilities to interact with the universe and the world around us, then we can shape shift. We can disarm guns and bombs, with the powers of our mind. So that is, to me, the next level of our capacities to create peace and to neutralize any kind of negativity. So it's really fascinating the powers that we do have that we're growing into or we're remembering or we're evolving, whatever way you want to look, waking it up. I like to think of it waking it up. And
Mhm.
that's where cloud busting can be kind of a fun thing to recognize that we are part of everything. We're part of it all. Yeah. And in the meantime, I think it's essential. And what I learned from that program from people was that, yeah, we have to, first of all, wake up and remember that we are spiritual beings. And what does that really mean? It's so glib. Oh, yeah, I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. Blah, blah, blah. Are you really? Like, if you really identified with being a spiritual being, how would you be? Right?
It's true.
Uh, where's the judgment? Where's the criticism? Where's all the programs, right? That we get imprinted and encased in. And so I love IRT because without having to figure it out or have to work it out, or act it out, we get to shift it out because, like Bruce Lipton says, we're all out of our minds because the mind is a field all around our body. And that's what hooks us and gives us that experience. Not always positive, in fact. But I love what they're now saying. There's a new word or a new expression. I don't know. You've probably heard it. Glimmers. Have you heard about glimmers?
Yes, yes,
But there's the opposite of triggers, right?
yes.
So, yeah. So when people, through the IRT protocol that I guide people through, people are clearer because our superconscious has the whole picture of what's lurking in the subconscious program, and the conscious mind has limited access. So affirmations are all very great, positive thoughts very good, but it's coming up against the static and the resistance of the buildup that we were never really designed to have. And that's where the poor body comes in. Oh my goodness, body is working overtime, just trying to handle the load and keep regenerating and bring us back to homeostasis because that's his job. But it was never designed to handle the overwhelm. we were all designed, we and our body were designed to actually be in the moment. And so now we have what seem a gigantic job of clearing all the buildup from all the generations, all the lifetimes, all the whatevers. Well, it's huge. And yet, in our quantum self, everything is here all at once right now. And so IRT allows people to make those agreements, activate and catalyze that part, the quantum superconscious self, that then can go instantly into our fields and neutralize and prune our family tree, clear out all the dead wood, and really spark up our life and give us greater access to those cosmic rays, to source energy that causes rejuvenation and regeneration. Aging, what is aging? My perception of aging is that we have a lot of stressful buildup and it shuts down our immune system. And we get compacted and contracted, and blood can't flow as well when we're in emergency all the time, and reactivity, we don't function as well. When we're free and clear of that, our body then automatically knows how to instantly respond and receive those signals that then totally regenerate us. And so the bottom line of IRT, quite honestly, if we want to go out on those healthy limbs, not the deadwood, is that we are, the body is immortal. There's so much teaching, and especially in all the spiritual traditions and in India as well, that it's only the soul that's immortal and the spirit is immortal. But the body, nobody gets out of here alive. You hear all this stuff all the time. And yet, that's not the higher truth. It is one truth, but it's not the higher truth. Because truly, if consciousness runs reality, which science tells us now it does, and then what's the problem? And even years and years and years ago on the news, I heard on the mainstream nightly news, I was just getting ready the next day to move, to the US for 3 years to do my work. I was invited to teach my work in tribal schools for the Bureau of Indian Affairs. So watching the news, all my stuff's in storage, here I am staying at a friend's, and medical report. Well, doctor comes on. Did you know the body is designed to live a good, healthy 150 years? So, like, oh, yeah, because Bruce Lipton says, well, so where's the other 50? If we think we're getting to 100, we get to 100, we're doing extremely well. Whoa, that's awesome, especially if you can talk and walk at the same time. And yet, we're misperceiving our capacities. We've dumbed ourselves down. We've been dumbed down. And there's so much that now is just ready to shift. And it's here now. It's exponential. The energies are available to us. Aquarius is in its beautiful place that we've waited for, and all of the planets are agreeing, and astrologically we're empowered as never before. And so the age of the Kali Yuga, the Indian 1,000-year age of darkness and struggle, apparently officially ended a year ago, January 15th, like just 1 year ago from tomorrow. I mean, where I'm speaking now, it's the 14th of January. So, and then, so where are we then? The Satya Yuga, and that is enlightenment, that is light, and expansion and spirit. So we're in the cleanup phase and the transition, in the same way that with the Mayan calendar ending on 2012, that we've been in this liminal space, and now full steam ahead. So it's really an exciting time to be alive, I think.
Absolutely. There's so much
Yes.
happening.
Yeah, if you're talking a lot, I don't usually share all of those things, but here we go. It's a
Well, we're honored.
whole new year, isn't it?
We're honored.
2025, and we're fully alive,
We
and,
are.
and in the middle of shifting to thriving, right? From surviving to thriving. So we just need to keep that focus and do what we can for our own inner selves and those around us and the world, as we are influencing and being influenced by, as Buckminster Fuller would say, don't try to fix or go up against what's not working. Create something new. And that's where we want to gather and attract and magnetize a whole new world together. So I sincerely believe that, not that I'm an ostrich with a head in the sand. I know a lot of what's going on. And yet there are those with their soul's purpose that are there to shapeshift that reality and be the truth tellers and stand up and speak in that realm. And yet I'm here to share the light and to remember and to wake up the collective. Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so grateful. I feel so blessed. Beautiful life.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be here, actually.
Wow.
It's because of all the transformation that's happening, because there is a lot, and that's part of the, like, we have to have the chaos in order for people to change. So it's, even though there is some chaos happening, it's also our perception of it as chaos. So how would you describe the quantum to somebody who's not familiar with quantum?
Yes, I mean, it's a word that's thrown about a lot, isn't it, these days? The quantum realm is that field, it's an ocean of potential that through intention, through thought, because thought is magnetic and we're electromagnetic beings, right? And so if you think of it as an ocean or a matrix of undifferentiated energy, and then we have a thought, and especially one with emotion attached to it, it just goes zing. It's like a net of consciousness or undifferentiated, matrix of information. And then all of a sudden there's this little knot that gets formed. And that's electromagnetic. So then it starts to attract and create that's how thoughts create. That's how I see it. And
Mhm.
so to me, that's that infinite quantum reality beyond time and beyond space. I studied with Nassim Haramein, one of the leading edge quantum physicists, and since 2009. And I think the biggest thing, or should I say the main thing that I have from his teachings is that in that quantum realm of what would be called in some areas ether or the universe or the matrix, physicists refer to that as the vacuum or as the field, right? All of the principles of quantum physics is that everything is a black white hole. Every cell is a black white hole, and our Earth is a black white hole, and our universe is a black white hole. So that means that we're breathing everything. And we used to think that black holes, we know all about black holes. They're all always dramatized, and oh, it sucks everything in, like, and don't get near a black hole, like you disappear forever. And and white holes are the expansive creations of galaxies, of stars, it's that creative outward thing, right? And yet both are the same. It's the dual nature of the opposite, right? And so when we think of ourselves as a black white hole, we're breathing in the infinite nature of consciousness with every breath. And then we're receiving that information, it's the informational matrix. And then we are making meaning because that's our job as meaning makers and perceivers. And then we have a response back out. So it becomes like a feedback loop, right?
And that's why the breath is so important for creation.
Incredibly important. And remind me of that in just a moment, because I really want to share something really important about the breath and about who we truly are with our breath of life. Because as quantum physicists will tell us that there is a boundary condition between the infinitely large and the infinitely small, between the Newtonian external world that we see and physical and that internal quantum reality that gets tinier and tinier and tinier if we had that measurement system to observe. Those are the concepts. So that liminal place, that in between, like the figure eight, like, so we're always expanding, coming back and integrating, expanding and coming back and integrating. So going out and coming back in. And so the event horizon, that's like a black white hole, that horizon, that's who we are, part of all of everything that is. And yet we are also unique and individual in our perception, in the gifts that we have to share. And so that's why it's so important to understand that. And so it's just like Dr. Bruce Lipton, cellular biologist, microbiologist, he's the father of epigenetics. That's what I called him forever. And other people are saying the same. Back in 1967, he, I think, was the first person, certainly very early days in 1967, to clone a human cell. And what he discovered that he had three petri dishes, and for the sake of brevity, they came from all the same stem cell source. So they came from the same batch of stem cells. And then he dropped in a muscle cell, a bone cell, and a fat cell. You know what happened to each of the dishes? They saw their environment and went to work to create a whole bunch of bone, muscle, and fat cells. That's where the epigenetics come in. That's the environment that shows us what to do and how to be. And that's how they created their very first organ in a petri dish. I believe it was a kidney. It had the just the scaffolding of a kidney. It's this shape of a kidney, and it was covered in pig's gut, because apparently pigs have the closest to human tissue. Go figure, right? And I like that little joke. Anyway, because we are all pigs, it's beautiful. Pigs are so intelligent. They're great creatures. Anyhow, that's another story. So yeah, so then it's just this structure, right? It gets dipped into some stem cell blood mixture, whatever. And guess what? It grows a whole working kidney because it's in the environment, and then based on the structure, it knows what to do. Just like our stem cells, when they're roaming around the body and then they go to our joints, or let's say a knee that needs regenerating, you can actually consciously direct stem cells from within your own body to go to particular places that need regenerating, and it just builds a new cartilage or new whatever is needed, because it's the environment that gives them the pattern and the blueprint of what to do when they're there. So isn't that cool?
It's very cool. And it creates what we would term miracles.
Absolutely. But we are a miracle. I'll have to share about the physical body. The body has trillions and trillions of cells. That's been established. Bruce Lipton says 50 trillion in his world. Dr. William Brown, a biophysicist of the Resonant Science Academy, says 100 trillion. And I bumped into him at the first, I don't know, it was the last, but it was the first delegate training just before COVID. And it was in July to August 2019. I saw him crossing the little retreat road. And I said, William, this is what I'm telling people. I just want to make sure I'm not lying. I don't want to misrepresent your science. So he confirmed, yeah, because I said, blah, 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 right? Yeah, you're right. Oh, thank you. And so basically, out of the trillions of cells that we have, every tiny neuron, and there's tons of those. I don't know how many, it doesn't matter to me. Tons of neurons. Every tiny neuron has 100,000 potential connections. Okay, got the picture? I
Wow.
mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty significant right there. However, the piece that Williams threw at me and added to my awe was that every tiny one of those 100,000 potential connections of each neuron in the trillion cellular system, each of the 100,000 potential connections has 85 billion wormholes into other dimensional realities.
Oh, wow.
We're multidimensional. Our bodies are
Yes,
multidimensional. Not
indeed.
just a sluggard, that's receiving life and doing something and, dance and last to get it. No, the body's the first to get it. But it's our perceptions, it's our old programs, it's our own resistance and our own buildup of static and stress that interferes with us being connected in to that greater truth of who we really are. So I am so delightful that every day I get to work with people individually or collectively. It doesn't matter, one person or millions. Everyone is doing their own connection into their greatest quantum source. And that way they get to self-clear without even having to know anything, without having to have the body act anything out. I love that. What a gift, right? We struggled and we've efforted and we've gone through healing crisis after healing crisis. And then, of course, then you get to the end. Wow, you spent your whole life processing, and then what? You die? Like, what's the point? We're here to have fun. Let's enjoy. Let's create. That's who we are. We're creators, many creators, co-creators. Let's get together. What do you say? And we can have a great old time.
We are co-creators. We create the reality
We
that we live
really
in.
are. So, what I wanted to go back to in that event horizon scenario of quantum physics, what Bruce Lipton independently was discovering is that it was the membrane of the cell that's the true brain of the body. And that is the event horizon between the external and the internal, right? That's our skin. We're a human petri dish, receiving, receiving the signals and the information from around us. And then the gates and channels open depending on resonance, that attraction. The signal has a receptor, right? And then that opens the gates and channels, and then the nucleus has all the programs. It's really interesting. The nucleus of the cell is where the DNA is housed. But Bruce is so funny. He used to crack everybody up and say, just like a male-dominated scientist thought that the nucleus was the brain of the cell, just because referring it to the body, we have this nucleus in our brain, in our head, with all these appendages. And so, this is the brain, right? So the nucleus apparently was the brain. And what he discovered was that the nucleus houses just all the reproductive systems and the messenger RNA and the duplication of the blueprint. And so it has no power in and of itself. It needs direction, right? A blueprint just lies in the middle of a field, build a house. No, it's not going to build a house, right? You need a contractor. Consciousness is the contractor, right? Anyway, getting back to the understanding, okay, so where's the brain if the nucleus? And he said, wouldn't that scientists think that the gonad is the brain. There you go, men. But the actual fact, the clue is right in the word, the brain is the membrane, the skin, the skin of the cell that holds it all together, because that's what receives the signals, right? And so it's really interesting. And the membrane works. Well, I don't want to get into all the detailed science. I haven't really thought about so much detail like that for years, but it's really fascinating. Suffice it to say that the membrane works exactly like a homologue of a computer chip. And every cell is light, as we've learned too. Fritjof Pop, what an incredible genius of a scientist. He's now passed probably some years ago, but what a loss, because he discovered that we are light producing beings, that the cell produces light. And they did these cool experiments where they put people encased in cave-like structures, sealed off any ambient light of any kind from anywhere. And then guess what? The body started generating light. So you became your own flashlight.
Perfect.
We are light. It's in the body in the same way that we are God within, because Greg Braden's work talks about God within the God code, because truly all the letters of the DNA for contributing factors, enzymes, whatever they are, sorry, the word escapes me at the moment, equated that to letters of a Jewish alphabet and symbols, and that what is written, what the translation of that is God within the body. Yeah, and Wayne Dyer always used to say, our main job is to feel good. We all want to feel good. We want to clean that static off the line to source and feel good. And good is just God with an extra O. So we just all want to feel that God within.
Yeah.
And it's true, it's who we are. It's really exciting that we're understanding things on a different level. So even though we still might be bemused and befuddled by it all, how do we access that? Okay, so yeah, right. Sure, I'm God. Like, okay, command my body to be healthy right now from cancer or from whatever's going on, right? Yeah, right. And yet, IRT is a key that opens the door to that actually being possible. And many, many thousands of people can't be wrong. And all the case histories of everything and spontaneous healings, instant healings happen through various means. And IRT is one key that accesses that effortlessly, because rather than trying to make it happen and figure it out, it's a divine feminine principle of receptivity. Because when you get out of your own way and you clear what's in your way, you are in the way of the miracle zone. And that's where everything's possible. So it's pretty cool teaching this work and waking people up to the miracle that we all are. And speaking of miracles, I'd love to share my own miracle of 2024. I haven't seen a doctor or had anything really wrong in what flu once in a while, whatever the odd cold here and there. I did get COVID once and it was like 4 days, but depending on circumstances of where frequencies are vibrating and what's going on. But basically, I've been a super healthy person at the age of 75, still feel myself that way and working on my second 75. However, in the meantime, I had traveled to Australia for a couple of months in the spring, came back for 1 week, and then traveled to Spain for the Holo movement. And they're an incredible group of people, scientists, healers, humanitarians, really changing the world, a bunch of change makers. And that's such a vibrant community. And that includes Holo movement. Everything includes the whole. Yeah. So I just love that. And I love the people. I had helped to make it happen to be there. And I thought, I was laughing, oh, who goes to Spain for 3 days or 4 days? I mean, that's ridiculous. It takes 18 minutes, maybe on a super magic carpet. 18 hours from Vancouver to Ibiza, Spain, and 33 hours it was going to take me to get home. And I'm there for maybe 4 days. But I went, and I had an awesome time. Arrived just in time, missed the first 5 minutes of the plenary because of missed connections of airlines these days. And so Thursday night, Friday, Saturday evening, we were in a celebration at this generative farm who had just become a new partner of the Holo movement in Ibiza. Farm to table, delicious food, beautiful music, dancing, singing. We were just having a party. And a friend beside me said, oh, I'm feeling a bit tired. I think I'm going to go back up and take the first bus back at 10:30. And I went, yeah, I'm feeling a bit tired, so I'll come with you. So halfway up the hill, I sort of got faint and dizzy, and she helped me to the ground. And long story short, helped me to the bus, back to the hotel. I turned down two ambulances because, hey, I'm healthy. I don't need an ambulance. I'll be fine in the morning. So what does that take two aspirin be and see you in the morning kind of thing? I never ever took aspirin, by the way. Anyway, so there I was, emergency surgery after midnight. I had a heart attack. Like, oh my goodness, that was a surprise. People said,
Yeah.
oh, you must have been so scared. And I said, no, I was just curious. It was interesting. Like, oh, really? I was surprised, right? I knew it was not my time. So I just went along for the ride and emergency surgery, 100% blocked artery. Oh my gosh. And that got two stents put in, and the 70% one was put on to an agenda for 2 weeks down the road. They like 2 weeks between procedures. So next morning, of course, over 100 people come out of their conference rooms and send me healing prayers and love. I'm in the ICU having a party. Actually, it was great, really great people, but doing my own inner resonance work, IRT on myself. And next morning, Monday, a few people that were left all gathered on the beach and did another healing ceremony and prayers and love for me. And wow, on Wednesday, the doctors were looking on sonogram for the second, block, could find nothing. Head cardiologist on Thursday has a look around. He's a little grumpy because he couldn't see anything and didn't like not knowing. And so Friday morning, 5 days after the whole shebang, they went in. A whole team of cardiologists actually went in and had a look around. They told me before they were going to give me this drug that slows down your heart to almost stopping, and it's going to feel very strange, but I'll be okay, not to panic, and it'll only be about 2 minutes. Well, they did that twice. Yeah, because they couldn't see anything and they couldn't believe their eyes. Yeah. And so they brought me back out, and I was present and accounted for. I was conscious through that whole procedure. So it was interesting. And so then they kicked me out of the hospital the same day, 3 hours later. And 4 days after that, I'm just realizing that was the ninth day. I was on my way home from hospitalization. My flight took off at 9 in the morning. I flew on my own 18 hours through Amsterdam and switched planes and stuff and got home. So, it's quite phenomenal. So I have my papers to show that I'm a medical miracle. And it's nice to have your own story like that, because I've healed many, many different things over the years. But when they're done, and you don't even remember doing this work. They're so completely gone because it's everything that was associated and connected with it. I really got it. I got how it was a wake up for self-care. So busy helping everybody else because I just thought I was fine. When I'm good, I'm okay, right? I'm okay. The acronym for fine. I don't know if I can say it publicly.
The F word and
Yeah. What is it? Neurotic and emotional. Something. It's just a funny
yeah,
expression years ago, right? So yeah, leave me alone. I'm fine. Anyway, so but I was fine. But I reflected. I really took responsibility for how I had created that whole situation in many different respects and all the different pieces. And we don't have to understand, but I like understanding.
beautiful story. Well, we're
Yeah,
certainly glad you're here.
me too.
It's a miracle.
I'm here for a reason. I'm
Lovely.
on it. I'm here. I'm up for it. And this next level, totally of stepping up into that next level for global empowerment. Who was
Beautiful.
that guy that wanted to rule the world? You know? But we all have a piece, which is
We
also
do.
fun, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And what I love about IRT is it plays so well with others. It really does. And because it enhances everything else. So once you go through the protocol, you have this switch on your body that's an instant activator. It's like a super duper defrag antiviral program for your entire matrix. Reality, all dimensions, all times, all places, everywhere, all at once. Poof. Yeah, of what's no
Thanks.
longer relevant or necessary. And then the rest we get to walk along with and unfold in its own time and way. And when we get, like that, and you would get to go, or wherever you put your touch and your breath, doesn't matter. And yeah, and we program it in with 5 breaths because 5 is a new program. And then, you know, we just get to be more empowered and happier for no reason, healthy, and get to play, get to choose, get to really be beyond the puppet victim thing and be the chooser, be the co-creator of our lives. And how much of a gift is that? It's who we are. It's time.
Where we can move into beyond being human.
Absolutely. Yes. And claiming all of our true superpowers.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Now, would you like to take our audience through?
All right. So you can be the proxy for the multitudes.
Absolutely.
As aren't we all? Because we're all part of each other. And we're part of each other just by breathing. So as we're present, just being aware of our breath, just breathing in and out. And just remember that we're breathing recycled atmosphere as well. Yeah, we're breathing holographic particles of the whole history of creation. So just by breathing, we are physically one with each other. Isn't that cool?
Beautiful.
Oh, amazing. And of course, breathing in source energy from that greater field of consciousness, whatever we call God. I like the acronym Grand Organizing Designer, God. Whatever people believe, whatever their spiritual beliefs are, we're breathing in infinite source energy. We're breathing our portion of Great Spirit in every breath. And as we sit and remember that, or stand wherever people are, that's cool too, because people can be driving and do this work. It's not your traditional meditation type thing because it's happening beyond our conscious and our bodies. But breathing with that as we remember who we truly are as spiritual beings, breathing life into our bodies. And it's an opportunity at this moment too for each one of us to invite whatever spiritual support team we know and love that we believe in is there for us in the unseen realms. And just saying yes and thank you. They know who they are. And so calling, inviting, invoking, remembering that you are your greatest, greatest self, greater self, part of and one with it all, with this incredible team of support to help us remember and guide us along to that falling awake. And so breathing with awareness of our bodies, remembering what I said earlier, that the body is this incredible quantum supercomputer that's always receiving and instantly responding to all of the information in our field, not all of which is desirable. However, that shuts us down, contracts us, doesn't feel so good. So we want to switch back on, wake up the body's full capacity for full receptivity for your greatest self here at this moment. And so the operative words, because guess what? It's a voice activated supercomputer. We get to say those words out loud, and I'm going to count to 3, and everybody can do that with you and I, Tanys here. Okay. The words are switch on and wake up body. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Switch
Switch
on,
on and
wake
wake
up
up
body.
body.
Yay. Good choir. And so now we're at the command center, whether we believe it or not, sitting at the keyboard of our consciousness. So we get to be choosing. We're not used to commanding anything much, really, at our limited conscious level. So I like to use the bridging words, I am choosing, because we are the choosers, aren't we? It's a free will zone. We get to be the choosers. And so I am choosing freedom from, creation of, and usually we know what isn't quite as optimized as what we would prefer it to be. So I often start with that part, especially first time running anyone through this formula of questions, which are all predisposed to yes when we get there, by the way. Nothing hard. No math.
You, not my strong suit.
No, me either. That's good. Oh, now we can breathe again. Take another breath. Oh, lovely. And so I'm choosing freedom from everything and anything that is limiting me unnecessarily, that's no longer relevant. No need to drag forward and continue to interfere with me and my greatest experience here. And so that includes all unresolved issues, known and unknown, from all times, all places, and especially as those issues may have been interfering with us up until this moment, physically in some way, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially for a lot of people, and relationships. That's the big one. Everything's related to everything else, and everything's entangled in that quantum understanding of our universe. I just like to say, yeah, some things are more tangled than others. So let's just untangle to entangle and be in that beautiful harmony and connection with all of life. And especially that connection with you and your greatest self and your quantum super conscious overview of the all of everything that's known and connected in to that greater field of consciousness that enfolds us all. And so we also are choosing to clear all levels of memory and in specific but general ways. For example, choosing to clear our whole life, this life. It's enough already, because everything that's happening in this life, even if it's informed or old informational unresolved trauma from other lifetimes, is still playing out in this lifetime. So it's not necessary to believe in soul memory or anything else. So first step, allowing all of every microsecond of our life to be cleared and cleansed all the way back to when we popped into the world. All the time we swam around beside our mama, drinking up her soup, her programs, her environment, her conditions, her history, right back to conception. And then beyond that, all of the ancestral memory is in our field, often referred to as the part of the Akashic records, the imprinted of our story. Everything's imprinted, every thought, every emotion, every event, imprinted into the memory field. That's what we're breathing in. And all the branches of all the family trees going all the way back through, right to the beginning of time. We're pruning that family tree of all the dead wood that no longer needs to, that limits us to flourish and be that strong rooted tree with a healthy trunk and flourishing shiny leaves, receiving the light and producing fruit. Yeah, beautiful. And we can graft any tree onto our branches and, just really enjoy a fullness of abundance. And then beyond the ancestral memory field is the soul memory field. All lifetimes, they're all here right now. There is no time in that quantum realm of everything, everywhere, here all at once. It's the same frequency, the same chemistry that gets acted out in our bodies, so we can address all of it all at once. And so now, the soul memory field, all lifetimes past, present, including concurrent and parallel realities, future, all collapse into this fresh breath, because that's all we ever have. That's only what's real each moment. That's what they say, be here now, the power of now. And so next memory field is the collective, which we talked about. So allowing all the collective memory that we're breathing in, holographic particles of memory for right back to the beginning of time. And then beyond time, into the intergalactic realms of more of our heritage, more of our history. Yeah, and some say there have been some interesting interactions with off-planetary beings in our early development as humans. And so all of that now is getting cleansed and cleared. Interestingly, Dr. William Brown, a biophysicist that I spoke of earlier, in 2019, 2 weeks before we met all together in the resonance retreat, he had just discovered he had been with this skull in South America, and he had isolated a particular of the DNA of this skull that isolated the moment that our human DNA had been altered by off-planetary beings. Isn't that interesting?
Wow. Yeah.
I know, that's a big wow. Wow, I just love William. He's my favorite. Don't tell Nassim that.
We can have more than one favorite.
I think so, yeah. I have lots and lots of favorites. So it's really incredible, that whole galactic field of memory that some understand better than others and their sources to learn about all that. And yet ultimately, right all the way back into our cosmic wholeness of where we are all one, where everything is love, that we're held in that memory so that as we wake up, we get held in that beautiful field that is only love, where we get to play in our unique gifts and contributions and dance on the golden carpet we talked about. And in that unity consciousness that's not complete without each of us being our greater truth of who we are, contributing our gifts. And just by shining, just being in our own glory, that's enough. Being a lighthouse, just being joy, just being calm, being peace. Like, what a concept. Yeah, and that affects the whole. So now, are you choosing to allow all of your multidimensional selves to be coherently realigned with the next level of your potential, of your health, your happiness for no reason, your abundance, passionately purpose, changing the world from your perspective and your point of view? Yes. Would that be good?
Yes. Yes.
Silly question, but somebody's got to ask it. So you can say,
Yes. I am
and so-
choosing this.
absolutely. And so are you choosing to allow all this to happen in the safest and most appropriate ways for you and all concerned at all times?
Yes.
That's
I am
good,
choosing
isn't it?
this.
Good answer. Are you choosing greater ease and gentleness than the conditioning and programming that we've had for struggle?
I am. I choose that.
And are you choosing effortless grace for instant and permanent shift of what's ready at this time and for each moment?
I am choosing that. Yes.
and what isn't quite ready to trust that everything's happening is for us, not to us, and everything has its own time of unfolding. And you have another nifty tool to speed things along as appropriate. So would that be okay?
Yes, please.
All righty then. The next question is, are you choosing to allow the part of you that's so open to something different being possible in a different way than what we've been conditioned, programmed for to also be in charge?
Yes, I am choosing that.
And are you choosing the part of you that's so ready just to go, whoop, all right, here I am now. Yay. That part of you to be in charge?
Yes. Yes.
Where we are, there's always more. There's always more. Yes. It's infinite. And so then last question, and then we press the enter button and you get to go for a ride on the magic carpet. And so the last question, are you choosing to allow that part of you that knows how the heck to do all that and the freedom to go play in your field? That's your superconscious quantum spiritual self with your team and just allow all of that to get taken care of in that place beyond our awareness of any kind, conscious mind, or beyond our bodies, especially our bodies need to act or process anything else. Oh, that's a big relief, isn't it? So just allowing now, press that button saying yes, press the yes button,
Yes.
and nothing else to do, everything to allow. There's no right or wrong way to let your mind drift. I think it's a fun idea of going on a magic carpet ride. Some people like that. However, just let your mind drift and just allow yourself to be in some easy feeling place. It's a place of no time. It's already done.
Hmm.
People report how quickly they drop into that deeper place. How are you feeling, Tanys?
Very light.
Light, yeah.
Yeah. It's my observations throughout was that I was feeling shifts in my energy field as we were going through. So I could tell there was movement happening in the different
Yes,
fields.
absolutely, because it was.
Hmm.
It is. Yeah.
Yes, I could feel
Hard.
it.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? How
Hmm.
immediate is that? It's really awesome to me always. I never get tired of hearing that. And you've never experienced this before. So see,
I haven't.
there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so now, as you're noticing that and being present with that feeling, you have an opportunity to touch a spot somewhere on your body, somewhere easy, no matter who you're with, what you're doing. You can have a couple. If we were an octopus, we could have 8. But but just, one's good as well. So, just noticing that touch at the same time, you're noticing that next level of shifting of your energy field and feeling great, feeling light, feeling that movement, that shift. Once again, being aware of our breath, breathing in this time with awareness of our hearts. And if you're really, really good, you can imagine breathing 360 from all directions into the center of your heart, your center of your bubble, all around you, just breathing in and breathing out, touching your spots, feeling what you're feeling, that shift, marinating it all together, and filling up your heart if it's not already full to overflowing of love, of appreciation, of gratitude, of all your blessings. And when that's all nicely marinated and simultaneously streamed, just let me know. Your touch, your heart, your breath, your feeling. Yeah, so taking your first deeper breath in as you're touching. And as you breathe out, just let your hand drop to your lap. Next breath in, touching. And breathing out, letting go. 3 more in your own rhythm. There you go. Now that's your new program. And so before you sleep, when you wake up, do a single touch breath or as many as you want. There's nothing to think about. There's nowhere to go, no way to be unless you feel like drifting somewhere and you've got the time as you're drifting off to sleep. It's lovely. When you wake
Hmm.
up, whatever. And you can add visions and intentions and maybe projects or things you're working on that you want to empower and smooth the way for. And going to the end result, we know is a wonderful tool for creating. You're doing that in a field that's been cleared of any unnecessary static and resistance. So more can connect and be speeded up. It's a fast track, but it's not a bypass. It goes directly to the center. And sometimes they say the metaphor for IRT can be those people that know Greek history. It's like a Trojan horse that goes straight to the center of your heart, but all heaven breaks loose
Nice.
instead of hell. All heaven
Yes.
loose, right? Oh, it's really beautiful, very elegant and simple and very effective. And people heal instantly from many different conditions as they're receptive and ready. And that was the one thing that I really got from my heart attack. Fully receptive I was to receive all that because we can send healing prayers and love to people that we care about. However, if it's not their soul's journey and if they're not ready, it's not as effective as if we can be fully open. So that's another way of checking in with ourselves too. And yeah, and always, if we have a loved one or someone we care about that's suffering in one way or another, well, we can just keep their end result in our hearts and in our minds. And that helps more than anything, seeing that truth available. Yeah. And they've done studies on prayer and found that groups that have been said, okay, pray for this group of people to get better. And another group that says, see these people out of the hospital all better and really vibrant in their lives. Guess who gets better faster? This group over here. So that's something also to keep in mind.
Beautiful.
Longer than I promised in doing this, but I had a lot of fun.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us and with me.
You're welcome. Oh, I have one more thing about your touch breath. I call it a touch breath. It's looking for a sexier name if anybody has suggestions. This very basic touch breath
Yes.
that does it. Is before sleeping and when you wake up, like I said, anytime that you feel less than optimal or you get triggered, imagine that. When you do remember, because it's timeless, just do a breath or two or three or five or 500, whatever it takes in each moment. You can play with how many you need. So five is a program, so it's not necessary to do five, but a lot of people like five. Do that because the first time subconscious gets something a little different and new, it goes into doubt and resistance. Second time, it gets received on the logical and emotional sides, remember? And the fourth is integration and acceptance. But five, wow, five takes us off into the land of miracles and the land of grace and grace. Yeah, and five is the fifth number of the Jewish alphabet. And
Mhm.
it's also, we talked about that earlier, right? And it's the breath of God. And we are
Magical.
human. We are God man. So our touch breath really helps us remember and clear everything that's not that truth.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Maureen.
Oh, there's one more thing. Whenever you get a glimmer or you see a beautiful rainbow, I just happen to be wearing my beautiful rainbow earrings today.
I've noticed them.
You
They're
get a
beautiful.
great hug from a friend, and if you just smell a rose, whatever it is that lifts you, that is some people now are saying glimmers, just add that in, right? So you're building on the strength of that all the time of what you have access to. So yeah, I think I'm done.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all of that wonderful knowledge and your beautiful technique that you've developed. And we appreciate all the time that you spent with us. And so we thank you very much for joining us today. And truly an honor to have a conversation and listen and experience with you.
Well, thank you so much, Tanys. This has been my greatest joy, as you can tell. So grateful to you, and I'm so grateful to everyone listening because I know your lives are going to change, just whether you believe it or not. It's just kind of sneaky in the back door. All wonderful things start to happen. So daily, keep that going and keep that and that conditioned response getting stronger and stronger. And yes,
Beautiful.
know what's happening in that greater world that is receiving this. So
Mhm.
I know because 35 years of magic and miracles is clear in my understanding.
And so people can reach you at,
So yes, MaureenEdwardson.com. There is a download up in the menu for my book and have a look around. And there's a free 33-minute exploration, which I usually give people an experience of IRT, because truly the nutshell version from the nut can only take 5 or 10 minutes, but it's so nice to get being in that energy of expansion, to have that extra time that I didn't plan on doing, but I had fun. So
Oh,
that's the main thing, right?
yes. And I'm sure that you will have touched many lives
Yeah.
with this. So thank you so much. It's truly an honor. And we thank you all as well for joining us on Explorations today. We'll see you next time.